So I'm watching some Exerbia, and he's doing his usual shtick, and for a brief moment, he shows the Wikipedia article for the pig war, and I'm thinking, a pig war? What's that all about? And holy mother of bears, nope, not that one. Bring in the other one. No, keep them both. There. I did not expect this rabbit hole to go this deep. And by that, I've read the Wikipedia article. But the point is, it's interesting. So, to set the stage, America at this point is less than 100 years old. Most European nations just saw it as doing its own thing and thought they shouldn't get involved. At that point, America was in full swing of the whole manifest destiny idea. And that directly conflicted with their neighbors. Great Britain. Yeah, Britain owned a lot of territory, so I'm just going to call modern-day Canada Great Britain because that's what it was called back then. And Mexico, which was in the middle of America just stabbing it in the leg for basically no reason when our story starts. But that's for another time. The US and Britain were in the process of finalizing who owned what in North America, and signed a treaty to close their disagreements. But history is nothing but complicated, so of course, some territory was still left unresolved. This was too loosely worded. There could actually be two straits that could reasonably be considered the middle of the channel. The Haro Strait to the west of the San Juan Islands, which America favored, and the Rosario Strait to the east, which Britain favored. And to make matters even worse, this is still the mid-19th century, which meant maps of very far west regions were incredibly hard to come by. Detailed ones were impossible. So at the time, there were two fairly decent maps of note. One published by George Vancouver, printed in 1798, and another by Charles Wilkes, published far more recently in 1845. Both made the Haro Strait look even blurrier, not specifying the exact location of several key points. So in 1856, Britain set up a commission to address the issues, and they ultimately came up with three conditions that had to be met. It needed to separate North America from Vancouver Island, it needed to have the border follow south, and it needed to be safe to travel through. Unsurprisingly, the conditions made by Britain favored Britain's argument. And still unsurprisingly, the US still claimed sovereignty over the islands that their claimed. I do not write scripts well. Tensions rose among the Americans when George McClellan, famously known for having the world record for the longest time a single person held their thumb up their from April 12, 1861 to April 9, 1865, stirred up a theory that George Pickett had conspired with the British. However, a fellow peer quickly debunked McClellan's theory, so the rabble was mostly short-lived. The tension abruptly came to a head when an American farmer, Lyman Cutler, who had moved to the San Juan Islands, saw a pig in his yard. And he thought, hey, this pig would look a lot better if I put a bullet right there. But his art piece was sadly short-lived, as the pig keeled over and died due to the fact that bullets inside things don't exactly spell out happy fun times. The guy who owned the pig, Charles Griffin, objected rather strenuously to this art project gone wrong, and was employed by the Hudson Bay Company, or the company that sold the majority of the land that explored directly to Britain. So needless to say, Griffin was on rather comfortable terms with the British. Cutler reluctantly offered Griffin $10 in compensation for the pig, roughly $326 in today's money. But Griffin was not having that and demanded $100, roughly $3,290 in today's money.
You're a fucking idiot.
Cutler hadn't even wanted to pay it all in the first place, so he understandably said, "No, are you crazy?" And British officers threatened arrest. And the US then said, "You know what? I'm bored. Let's go to war over this. Why not?" So George Pickett, that guy McClellan accused of treason, and 66 other soldiers went on board the USS Massachusetts. They were told to prevent the British from landing. Meanwhile, the British sent Geoffrey Hornby to dissuade the Americans. Pickett then set up camp at Bellevue Sheep Farm. By the time it was August 12, 1859, 461 Americans had arrived, along with 14 cannons. But nobody actually did anything. Almost everybody agreed that starting a war over a pig was pretty stupid. So the war just became an insult contest, as both sides had two rules. 1, defend, and 2, do not fire the first shot. As happens, wars tend to get noticed by the countries fighting in said wars. And when news reached each country's capitals, both were shocked and immediately tried to quell the situation. So the two countries reached a sort of pseudo-agreement, allowing Americans and British to settle on San Juan Island. Both sides eventually withdrew from the island, And the memory lives on as the time the War of 1812 2, Electric Boogaloo, could have been started by some tasty goddamn potatoes. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this format, let me know. I might keep doing these types of historical episodes. Alright, I've got to go watch some more overly sarcastic productions. Gotta brush up on my Shakespeare because middle school curriculums suck.